Or local to local.
Yep. Sorry we've been gone. Life got busy, but we're back and we're going to be making some new content. Hopefully, some great content. Great.
Great content. We do have a few topics, a lot of more heavy topics, but we're going to start out with a much lighter topic that Dwight knows a little more about the Black Gold Festival in Hazard.
Yeah, the Black Gold Festival in Hazard. It's been going on. I don't know. It's like number 79 or something this year, but it happened last week. There was a lot of vendors, a lot of out of state vendors, by the way, very expensive out of state vendors, if I might add. But in 1981, they had 100,000 people at Dukes of Hazard, and Daisy Duke came. Everybody wanted to kiss her. So they all came to Hazard
Hmm.
in 1981. But the interesting thing is, of course, Black Gold happens in downtown Hazard,
Yep.
and in one side of downtown Hazard, it's the main side basically. I don't know if they consider this downtown Hazard, even though it is technically Main Street, on the Walkertown side. But if you look at they where the Grand Hotel used to stand, right? So it's directly in downtown. They built this green turf and everything. There used to be a Grand Hotel there, and it was like 100 years old when it burned down. And they put this fake turf and everything out there, and it looks nice, right? Downtown, it looks considerably better than what it did. But then you look at like everybody that lives in the neighborhoods above downtown, and then they're all like poor, like not like just like a normal level of like middle class, but no, they're like it's hard to eat kind of poor, right? I mean, the projects is less than a mile away from downtown, and you can only imagine uh, what the unemployed look like up there. I mean, even if these people do get like a bunch of money in food stamps, I mean, if they have so many other issues and they have no other income, you think they're all just buying, food with that.
Hmm.
And it's not like a problem with them in particular, but it's a problem with habit, right? And the things that they're doing. Like if you're an alcoholic, like you're just not like a piece of shit alcoholic. You're a person, and you're probably drinking for a reason. Now, given some people do just kind of do drugs for no reason randomly, and they're like, yeah, now we're addicted. But this still doesn't like make you any different, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't make
Uh,
you non-human.
Right. And it's like just because our downtown is nice and we have like little events that we can do on this fake turf that we may or may not have illegally obtained by burning the building. But look, none of that matters, right? The people are poor. I mean, they're poor. Like 52.9% of children in Perry County schools are disadvantaged, meaning that there's some type of something, food or shelter or something going on in their life that is affecting them, right? Greatly. And it's just like acceptable, right? And our politicians locally, they say, "Oh, you should go speak your mind about Kentucky Power," and then they're like out here taking photo ops with them, and they're, "Oh, here's your power up food pantry basic essentials," after they just increased your electric bill by 15%, right? Where people are paying like $700 a month for electricity. Are you kidding me? Like, come on, brother. That's like a mortgage payment around here. Like, or just somebody's rent, dude.
That's
Like, are you
yeah, it's
kidding
extreme.
me?
Yeah, I mean it's twelve
Uh,
hundred
and they're the only
regular.
supplier. They're
Oh,
the only supplier. Yeah. And our local politicians, all these people, they're so intertwined with like the money and the way that the money gets thrown around and how the decisions are made that like there's no accountability. Like, why the hell would they care? Because they're getting a little bit off the top. They don't care. It's like black gold is like the only thing, right? It's the only thing that Hazard has left. This is the tourism that they talk about, other than the giant Leatherwood Park that they have, by the way, that's owned by the judge executive, the highest paid county official, right? $119,000 a year. And then they're building all this tourism stuff, and right beside the Leatherwood giant basic park he's got, the giant ATV park, it's the biggest in Kentucky, by the way. And right beside of it, the city is building or the county or the city, they're building a lodge, a wildcat lodge for people so they can stay in Perry County longer
hmm.
for tourism. Isn't it just interesting that that dude literally owns the park?
Yeah,
In
that
Perry
is
County.
kind of weird. A park that's owned privately is kind of just odd in general.
And the city and the county act like they don't know anything about each other, but they eat lunch. Like the judge executive and the mayor eat lunch together every day, and it's just like there's no accountability. Everyone that I've talked to, like dozens of people at this point, have said the same thing, that the city has no accountability. Donald Mobilini's a big fat liar, and he's done a lot of questionable shit. And all the people that love this guy live on Hospital Hill. They never get flooded. It doesn't smell like shit, right? Not everyone up there loves them, but those are all the people with the money, right? But from Hospital Hill down to the projects and Hazard, you got to listen to everybody, and you have to help people according to their needs. I'm not gonna say, well, the people on Hospital Hill mean more to me because they have more money, but they don't have needs like the people on in the projects do, right? They don't have it. They have funds,
It's
right?
it's it's
They
almost
have food.
incomparable.
Right. I mean, it's like I know some people that live up there, and I've been inside a house or two, and I'm just gonna put it out there. All right, that whoever lives on Hospital Hill don't need no help. All right, they got it. They might need drug rehab or whatever if they get themselves into something, but they definitely don't need no funds from me. And then you walk up in the projects, and you really see some people that could use help, and not just financially, but people who could use some compassion. And that's really what it's about, is saying, well, yeah, it can look nice, but do we have compassion, right? Is our community being accessible to everyone? The same thing is like, why don't we have bike lanes? A lot of people could bike. A lot of people do bike, right? Why don't we have bike lanes? Why don't we have actual bike lanes that are marked? Why don't we expand the roadways if we don't have room? Why don't we? The beautiful part of beautification is creating safer roadways, right? By using natural barriers to prevent crashes and things. I mean, we have to kind of ask ourselves, okay, well, what can we do? What should we do? What's going to make it better for people in Hazard to come to downtown so we can have businesses that are making money, right? And also, maybe getting rid of all these useless nonprofits we keep giving these buildings to. Like the city of Hazard has all these buildings that they're like playing sell, buy, and back and everything. They buy it and they sell it and they buy it and they sell it. A couple of builders they've done this, and then they give it to a nonprofit, and it's like, okay, they don't make any money, they don't pay taxes, and they're useless. They're useless. Like, come on, 90% of these nine nonprofits right here. Don't quote me on that, but like I feel like it's like so many of them around here, and like nothing. Nothing. Like,
Mhm.
come on, dude. Nothing has ever changed, particularly like the economic alliance. Like the state law says, oh, yeah, you have to have elected officials or the representatives. But why do we have the two people at the forefront of decision making in a nonprofit board of directors for the economic alliance for Hazard and Perry County? You have the judge executive and the mayor on there. Like it could be anybody else, but you have those guys who are also at the forefront of the decision making.
That
Like,
is a
yeah,
little
they're going to be
weird. Yeah.
pocketing some money. I mean, and people just have to you have to make connections for those people and bring it to their face because they're not going to believe you any other way,
Mhm.
but it's a lot of towns like this it's an illusion, right?
Yeah, once you
It's an
get past
illusion
where the
of a
money's
downtown.
at, then everything falls off substantially. I mean, it's kind of like
Mhm.
Mobile. Mobile, you go from the city part with the nice, fancy buildings and the everything. It's like New Orleans, but not really, And then you get out of
Mhm.
there, and the second you get out of the town, it's just all poor people. You go downtown, downtown Mobile and things like that, and it's sad. I mean, there's homeless all over the streets. I mean, and most of it I've noticed is like holding companies, like the ones that you put your furniture in when you move. But like, there's a lot of those
Mhm.
things like that, and it's a steep decline, and it's because well, who lives in the city and who doesn't live in the city, and who gets all the
Mhm.
focus, and it's money based. I mean, like with what you call it, was Hospital Hill. I mean,
Mhm.
money really controls the interest of everything. I mean, second you step out of the money
Mhm.
area, then everybody falls off and gets poorer, and the people that are elected don't care anymore.
Right. And the funny part is that you don't have to go anywhere outside of down I mean, you go outside downtown Hazard, and just, I mean, 100 feet away you could see, what people are going through, what it looks like, how poor people can be. And then
Hmm.
you go, I mean, 10 minutes out into the county, and you can really see what people live like in these haulers. And Hospital Hill, it's not something that you can just come across. It's something that you drive up there and you're like, well, you took a wrong turn or two to really get up there. And but they're on the hill, man. They're on the big hill in Hazard, and there's no flooding that happens up there. They got nice, beautiful homes. I mean, I I've been inside of one of them, and this guy's home, man, it's beautiful. He bought it for 500,000, but I mean that home is worth a lot more than that.
Hmm.
I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's like you walk in, it has like the double staircase and everything, like beautiful, like the tiles that cost like $15 a square foot type tile. I mean, and it's massive.
Probably better than the Georgia Governor Mansion. Have you seen that thing? It's a square.
Yeah, it's better than that. I'll tell you that.
A lot of
That's
things
not
are.
even like the best one. Now it's a beautiful one, but he's a very good guy. But now there's a guy, a doctor that owned one. Dude, he's got like a mansion on the very tippy top, and he's got like the electric gates that open by themselves, and a big beautiful castle wall and everything type shit. Like dude is living the dream. I delivered there one day DoorDash, and then some like 12-year-old kid came out. I was like, "You live here?" He's like, "Yeah."
Hello,
I was like,
servant.
"All right." Yeah, you're not the shit. Yeah. Uh,
Well, uh,
he didn't tip me, by the way.
oh yeah, of course he did. Yeah, you're on like the richest area in the world, and then no tip. It's like you go
Well,
trick or treating, they get the small candy bar.
it's crazy. People don't really know the history of this area. There was the La Citadel Hotel, right? The La Citadel Hotel was based off of, I think it was a Cuban fort. Well, the La Citadel Hotel, back in the day, there's actually a famous, I think, lawyer who said he'd rather die in the La Citadel Hotel than go to the Hazard Hospital. And he did. He died of a fucking heart attack. And in the lobby. And it was a hotel that rich people stayed at all the time. It was luxurious, right? Well, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars in coal deals were made here, right? Chinese investors, everybody would the Dukes of Hazard. This was the spot, and now it's just like some stupid engineering company or something. But like this is a really rich area with history, and I mean, there's history, there's duels, there's feuds,
Money.
there's missing people's cases, by the way,
Hmm.
right? You want to talk about the suspicious stuff that goes on in Hazard, Kentucky? Look at Roy Campbell and his murder, and his wife and her murder. They were both murdered in their home in 2010. Roy Campbell was I think he was a doctor, very famous doctor. He has Roy Campbell Drive, and him and his wife Wanda were murdered in 2010. Nothing was stolen out of the house, including $1,000 in cash. They were both shot in the back. And there's never been an update in the case. There was a boy, Joel Mark Wells, in 1994, where the Walmart used to be in the Black Gold Boulevard. He got in a fight, and the day prior there was a murder of a gas station attendant. So people were scared, and he got in a fight with his friend at the Walmart parking lot. He started to walk off. He went to the Burger King, and he was banging on the doors. I actually know a lady who was friends with the person at the Burger King who was working that night. That was a manager, and they people they were scared to open the door. They didn't know what was going on. They were scared that maybe this is the guy that killed that lady, and they didn't want to die, right? So
Yeah.
he just kind of eventually went off, but seemed panicked, and he was banging on the door. And he was last seen in the Walmart parking lot asking for rides. He was never seen again. They traced his scent. It was very snowy, one of the most snowiest times, I believe. It was very like below zero weather,
Mhm.
and they found his scent trail on the Kentucky River, just right down below it, and on the overpass and everything. But they could never find his body. They never did. Um, there's that. There's a man who went missing in 2010. They never did find his body. They do believe that they know what happened to this man, but the KSP just couldn't get anything out of these guys. They said that he walked off, and somebody accused him of stealing a wallet, and he got struck, and he walked off, and he was never seen again. And they probably did kill this guy, but they never had an update in the case. And I just think that it's really weird that there's so many of these cases where it's just thrown under the rug. And the same thing in Letcher County and Knott County. There's no accountability. If it happens in Kentucky, it stays in Kentucky and it dies in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's concerning.
Very. Yeah. I mean, that's nuts.
What happened to me if I die?
Yeah, they're gonna get you, dude. You're not gonna sell your what you call it, your abilities over to Israel. They're not gonna make you mayor. Disappear down the river.
Right?
Uh,
It's over.
well, before we've been talking about this for a minute. I do want to cover the Mobile mayor election. The runoff happened like 4 days ago, and then we do have
Sure.
our other heavy topics that I want to talk about. Uh, but with the Mobile mayor, uh, sadly, in my opinion, Spiro Cheriogatis, he won the runoff election, 50.8 to 49.2, and it's interesting because I had kind of kept close with the thing. And I had went to all of their websites. Spiro Cheriogatis, he never really had much on his website. Like he kind of had like promise, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, but he didn't have a solution really, in my opinion. It was kind of just like a block, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. And then when I went over to Drummond's website, Drummond, she had all these things, a big list of like, yeah, it's like, yeah, well, how we're gonna do it, what we're gonna do, that kind of thing. And I was kind of rooting for her to win. And she was initially leading Cheerio, excuse me, as well in the election before the runoff. But like I said, very slim. What you call it? Drummond was also a lawmaker. She was a state, I guess, congresswoman. I'm assuming for like the House since 2014. And I know that she was interesting. I actually only saw this just now from a post on Facebook, or not just now, but a little bit earlier. But it is sad that she lost her election. And hopefully Chiro Gaddis, he's I believe the Republican candidate. Hopefully he does good. I mean Mobile, Sandy Simpson, he kind of fell short. I'm hoping that maybe one of these can they can do something good in this
Well,
election.
and I think that's the thing. Now, personally, if I was her, I don't know if she did this or not, but I mean, I would really be harking on that of what you were talking about, right? That there is no depth to what he's saying. It's just a simple promise with no plan of execution. And I think the other thing, though, to mention is that I don't. So both of them weren't the previous mayor. So
They were set out.
there's there's a chance that he does follow through on these promises. Maybe that at some of these events he had some. I would have a widely available platform, but man, not all young and old people think the same.
Yeah.
But I think she should have harked on that a little bit. Kind of been like, well, where is his plan? Where is what he wants to do? I think same thing here in Hazard, right?
Because I
Uh,
think we went over in a video. I scrolled through the website, but
mhm.
she seemed a lot more cheery. He's okay, he's a family guy, but she seems a lot more just welcome, nice to be around. If that makes sense. She has like a welcoming personality.
Mhm. Well, yeah, and I think that's what you need in a politician. You need to be welcoming. Same thing here in Hazard, man. It's like, yeah, they make a lot of promises, but they're nice people. Everyone knows them. That's what it's really about. It's a popularity contest. It doesn't really matter what you say, right? And now, sometimes I think that if you really get on a point and you really point out some dirty, nasty shit, I think people will say, "Huh, yeah, maybe he's right." But a lot of the time, it's a popularity contest, right? Especially when there is no push, right? When there's no like actual like what is this? What about that? When you're not really putting it together. And I think that's why I've seen a lot of support is because people are like, yeah, well, this guy's actually, speaking some power, truth to power, right? That's what it's about. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Um, well, we got talked about, I want to just glaze over the mayor a little bit. We had talked about the festival, and last time, well, actually, before this big hiatus happened, we had said we were waiting for the documents or the shooter to be released in Charlie Kirk's death out in Utah. And then we got caught up in our hiatus, but it's been released, the bullets and everything that has to go along with it, and I have some things we can bring up. I'll close this. But it was interesting and very weird because the shooter he wrote on his bullets, which is becoming a trend, um, which we can cover that a little bit more on the trend part. But I also the text between him and his girlfriend or whatever it is, person. I haven't really had any clarification on if they're actually transgender or not. And I think they actually came out and publicly said no, they're not. So I'm not really sure about that part. I'm not going to.
So he's just gay?
He might be, and from what I recall, he was Trump is a Trump supporter too, I think. But
Well,
anyways,
but I don't know. There's so many conflicting narratives
yeah,
about this.
everything's very conflicting, and it's they say, oh, it's the Trump, like Trump and other people like that, which Trump is he really uses the death, like, I mean, we'll talk about the memorial in a second, but he really uses the death as like all Troy Kirk was to Trump as a political pawn, and that's how most people are like that. um And there's
Oh,
actually a
you know
guy.
who Trump's the pawn for?
True. And then I saw this guy recently. I can't remember his name, but like it's like this dude popped out the lab, and he's just like the new Charlie Kirk. He's like this exact same guy. He's taking to all the college campuses, things like that. And like just like weeks ago, he was barely getting like 13 likes on his tweets, that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden now he's the new, he's the conservatives' top guy. But
Uh-huh.
with this, like we're talking about the bullets, hey, on one of the bullets, it says, "Hey, fascist, catch," with an up arrow symbol, right arrow symbol, down three arrow symbols, and that's actually a reference to a video game called Helldivers 2. We
Mhm.
played this, and I believe it's a hell bomb. It's basically like the equivalent to a miniature nuclear weapon in the game, and that's yeah. So in my opinion, comes off kind of weird, and he also says "Oh Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao," which is a Italian. I don't know what it's like an anti fascist, like with what's his name?
Are we sure not the redeploy? I'm thinking about it.
No, 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 no. It's a 500 kilogram bomb, which is basically the mini nuke.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he also said, if you read this, you are gay. And I think there was also something else written on one of the bullets. I think they're missing one. Yeah, these are the unfired ones.
Well, I, well, I can see though, right, where they're like, they're like, oh, well, he's a leftist. I mean, who else is engraving "Hey Fascist Catch"? I mean, I'm sure other people can, but uh, who exactly is Lance Twigs? I mean, everyone's like kind of glossing over this, right? Like, it's important, I think, to actually look because I've read a little bit about it, and I don't know the validity of these things. But it's like, oh, people that he's known online for a long time, or that knows him, his friends,
Mhm.
whatever, and they all say that yeah, he was at some point a conservative, and he changed, that he was different. I mean, I don't know, maybe he was a furry conservative, but
Which
there's
I've met
all.
a lot of those in my time.
Yeah, I mean they're possible. They're it's like explaining to a grandma that there's a subsection of Nick Fuentes followers that are femboys. But um,
Yeah, we may don't
yeah.
use that word. Well, like there's gay Republicans, gay conservatives, gay, transgender, furry, and it is odd to say the least when you look into them, but it's entirely possible. But with like this case, it's so incredibly weird. And I also the texts I wanted to show. I got the texts, and I'm not entirely sure why they're formatted like this. It makes a claim at the top, which I don't stand by, but I'll flip over this. I have it on a document. It says read Tyler Robinson's chats with transgender lover after Charlie Kirk shooting. I don't know about the validity of that part, but this is the actual texts, and I want to clarify before we start reading this. I think this guy is like what 20, maybe 21, something like that. Not much older than you, and he's just he's just this very formal, almost suspiciously formal guy, that kind of thing. And it's like if you look at the comparison between the lover, the person that's talking to him, there's a clear discrepancy in how they type. And I bet you if we had former chat logs, he probably never typed with this a day in his life. Which
Hmm.
we can explain what we mean by that in a minute, but we'll cover other things. It says, look at, how about you read the lover and I read the guy?
Okay.
Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard.
Dot dot dot. What? You're joking, right?
I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you.
You weren't the one who did it, right?
I am. I'm sorry.
I thought they got the person.
You're all I worry about, love.
I am much more worried about you.
Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. While I mean, like,
And
let's pause real quick at page 2. Hello. This guy. That's okay. I mean, like, hell, if this isn't an agent, I don't know what is. I need to update my visuals maybe. And he says, remember how and I was engraving the bullets, the effing message, or I don't know, what is it,
no.
the effing messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge ooh ooh on Fox News, I'm gonna have a stroke. All right, I'm gonna leave it and that really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope, and then he breaks character. This old man, formal character. Delete this exchange. Just what you say to your loved one. Delete the exchange. Yeah. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says that Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it's very unique. He's calling me right now. And when we talk about the rifle, very weird because the rifle they claimed is untrackable in a pre-World War I rifle. Which is insane because that's impossible. We've been marking and stamping guns since like the 1800s. I mean, you could get
Yeah, well,
muskets.
it's any gun made before 1895 is not considered a firearm, by the way. But I think it's 1980 1895. So if this was made anytime after 1895, it's guaranteed that it probably has a marking on it. Now, if it was made for war, I don't know. But I mean, but still, I mean,
Those have
you're
tracking.
basically saying that the people that made a gun didn't put a stamp on it. And if it's and from my understanding, that this is not like some unique gun.
It was
No
like a
bullshit.
Ruger.
This is right. Yeah, I think it's a Mauser, was it not?
Or I don't know, something like that. But if like this kind of gun would be trackable, and to suggest it's
and
not is
and
insane.
they're widely available. These kind of guns are widely available, right? These, particularly if you don't go too far back, Vietnam era, World War II, these sniper rifles that are bolt action, great for hunting. People love these, right? You're not taking the M1 Grand or whatever. Some people do, but these Vietnam era sniper rifles. I mean, even a sniper rifle that old, it's a great hunting rifle. But now the government's going to say, well, we're going to take away your high-powered sniper rifle
Yeah,
because it's
your
got
your
a great
your
scope
your
on it.
gun with the large scary bullet, we're gonna have to ban it because this and that, and that's how conservatives will slowly get onto that trend. I mean, Trump is already in the past. I mean, I know Trump is like he's made the claim that he totes around a little pistol or whatever, even though he's a felon. Uh, I think that was pre-felon era, but he was still making he was passing relatively anti-gun legislation, executive orders, I believe. I remember having read that in like 2016. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Our top guy is all of a sudden anti-gun. Um, Anyways, he says my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He is calling me right now, not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff.
How long have you been planning this?
A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. And see, this is so weird because like he ignores what she says or he whatever this person says, whatever, and he just immediately goes back to his locked on thing. And in my opinion, it's so weird. Like I mean, you just killed a man. You just shot a man. Very interesting shot, among other things, and you're like, how can I hide the gun? How can I let me text my lover, and then figure out how I can hide the gun. Like
Everything I'm doing right now, where I'm at directly.
yeah, and I have to confirm several times via text I did it. Um, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it has serial number. And this is what we're talking. I don't even know if it has serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about my prints. I leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the f will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle weapon intel. And see, this part is also interesting because he clarifies to the person for no reason. He's just like, yeah, it has no serial number. I'm worried about my prints being grabbed off it. And he says no, they grabbed some crazy old dude. They interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost there to get, but there's one vehicle lingering. And they said,
Why?
why did I do it?
Yeah.
I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can be negotiated out if I am able to grab. And like he immediately, like he just brushes off the question and says, "Yeah, if I'm able to grab my rifle and scene, I'll have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." And here's a picture of it. I think that's what the text said. There's a picture of him right there. Um, and it's this is not a 20-year-old.
The story censor?
This is not a 20-year-old dude. This is in my. If it really feels like a Fed or something like that. And old Cash Patel, maybe he's got his fingers in this, because Cash Patel, he's very quick. He's like, this and that, and then they're like, oh, these anti MAGA, anti right wing. They want all these people to die. And it's like, yeah, these radical leftists. And it's actually interesting. I remember I read a statistic. It was like 230 of like mass shooters or things like that, things that or radicalists were right wing, and about like
Hmm.
30 something were left wing since like 1980 or something. Like I'd have to find a statistic, but it's basically that. And that's
Well,
a
I've
huge
seen
discrepancy.
another one that said that left wing violence was up very high since the last 30 years this year.
Well, I mean,
From the last 30 years.
maybe it is.
Which obvious. Apparently to the government, yeah.
Yeah, to the government, they say, wow, it's so crazy. All these left-wing people that we have to demonize, they're all of a sudden being bad people, and we have to, we have to imprison them, and this and that.
Yeah,
And
like the guy, he shot all these ICE agents. Such a terrible,
we have that.
terrible
We have
time.
that too. We have that too. And I'm trying to see how far the shot was between him and Kirk. But let me see.
It was like they at first it said 200, but I think they said like 150 or 100. I mean, come on, dude.
Yards.
Like, yeah,
This guy
yeah.
has probably never been hunting in his entire life, that kind of thing, and he's hitting 150 yard
Well, I
next shot.
mean, maybe he has. I mean, I think he has. I don't
I mean,
remember.
possibly, but my issue still pertains. It's just like, dude, and if we're being honest, if he isn't a Fed,
In the carotid artery too, by the way.
yeah,
I
if
just
look,
like, was that his intention to hit that?
and then you know what they say? They say Charlie Kirk had Superman bones. Superman bones.
Uh,
It stopped the bullet from hitting anybody else because of his super strong Superman bones.
uh
Uh, very very odd, and we were talking about
Have
the
you seen the video of the guy taking the camera down and taking out the SD card right
yeah.
after Charlie Kirk gets
Yes,
shot?
or whenever like people were literally pointing at the guy posted up on the roof. I mean, you could see the guy
Yeah,
in front of the
I've
footage.
seen the
Just like
video before the shooting happened.
nobody was like, huh, how weird. There's a guy laying on a roof across from the guy. Let's ignore him. And even though multiple people pointed it out, it was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Like we got like Lee Harvey Oswald up on the roof, and no one's gonna go investigate.
Right.
No one's gonna go check it. No one's gonna say, hey, Mr. Kirk, why don't you get out the way for a minute while we go look at the guy that's on the roof. No,
Yeah.
no one
Yeah.
thought that.
Yeah, dude, pull him off that stand and throw him under the damn thing.
And my
I
issue
mean,
with the
this
Superman,
was preventable, right?
very.
This is intentional. This is woven, right, by big powerful men to create the disruption of the American people to continue to feed the flame of diversion, right? Of
Divisive
they
nature.
want us to hate our neighbor, right? God says to love thy neighbor. And if we did love our neighbor and listen to him, we might understand that we have a lot more in common than anything that Trump has in common with us. Trump is a rich man. He was always a rich man. He was born rich. He doesn't understand what it's like to be poor. Just because your neighbor's gay and black and you're a white conservative does not mean that you have less in common with that guy. You have much less in common with Donald Trump because he doesn't care about you,
Hell, you
right?
and that guy probably. I mean, like you said, they have a lot. You and that guy have a lot more common. I mean, how you probably went to the same school together if you're in the same neighborhood. You probably raised together, and you're going
Mhm.
to turn your allegiance to Trump, the guy who, if you were to die in front of him, he would walk over your body.
Yeah. You've
Uh,
heard what he said about our troops.
yeah, he doesn't care, and I mean, or like when he said that if he was going to run for president, he would be a Republican because Republicans are idiots. Um,
Mhm.
and when we're talking about this too, and we have to remember, like the CIA and the FBI, all of our letter agencies, they have done this in the past. I mean, Martin Luther King, which I think is very weird that we're comparing Martin Luther King, not us, but people compare Martin Luther King
Mhm.
to like a very different circumstance, but
Oh yeah.
people like Martin Luther King, the government literally killed the guy. And we have to remember the government likes to take outcasts, they like to take the mentally ill, and they turn them into streets. I mean, let's take a look at like someone like Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald, he was basically a social outcast. He was in the Vietnam War, got messed up in the Vietnam War mentally. He comes back, he's a communist, which we didn't like back then. He's a communist. He has a Russian girlfriend. He goes over to Russia. He comes back, and first thing he does, from my memory, after he gets back to America, is go to a CIA building. And then all of a sudden, he hits the magic bullet, and JFK's dead. Or for example, Martin Luther King. The FBI really didn't like Martin Luther King. They did not like him at all. And then so they go find a mentally ill man to shoot him through a tree somehow magically, and then the bullet kills him. And then they cut down the tree the next morning, and then they're sued. And they're like, yeah, well, actually, it wasn't that guy, and he served the rest of his life in prison. That kind of thing. So
Yeah, he was already in prison, by the way, for 30 years for robbing a store. But yeah,
yes,
and he has tried to escape 3 times before he actually escaped,
yes.
and he escaped by hiding in a just a little box. Yeah.
Yeah. So he just magically gets out and then goes and kills Martin Luther King. Magic, and they're
And
like,
he
oh,
claims that he didn't even know that he was wanted for killing Martin Luther King until he heard his name on the radio as he was leaving Memphis. He said, "I gotta get the hell out of here."
yeah. It's
By the
it's
way,
I,
this dumbass, by the way, who was an average, he wasn't racist. He had a black girlfriend, by the way.
yeah.
This dude was so dumb. He couldn't escape prison or nothing, but he magically obtained two fake passports and ended up in the UK almost on a plane to Rhodesia. But I just want to put this out there, by the way. All right, it's been proven in a court of law that the FBI, there's 2 individuals that are very shadowy figures that helped him obtain the car, the fake IDs, all this money, the rifle, what rifle to get. He was so dumb, in fact, he got the wrong rifle. He had to go back and get it. The guy that sold him the damn gun said so much, said as much. And both of these figures basically gave him all this stuff. And the white Mustang that he had parked outside, there was 2 of them on the block. Multiple witnesses there said there were 2 of the same Mustangs
Or like
parked outside.
with like the Oklahoma City bombing, the FBI building, tons of people
Mm-hmm.
said there was a second guy, and the FBI says no, no, there wasn't. There was never a
There's
second guy.
nobody.
No, there was only one guy. He did this all on his own volition. Look, the 3-letter agencies, they take the outcast, they take the mentally ill, and they turn them into the big bad guy. And I think that's what's happened with what's his name? I don't even know the guy's name. I didn't even pay attention. But the Kirk shooter.
You know, and the difference between these guys and like Ted Kaczynski is Ted Kaczynski was actually smart enough to make a bomb.
Yeah, Ted
You know?
Kaczynski. I don't think Ted Kaczynski was a government psyop, but I think Ted Kaczynski just really hated the government. And how can
Well, yeah, there's a
I
difference
don't think he
between
should
those
have been
guys
a
and the guys now.
yeah, and like I said, this guy, the Charlie Kirk shooter, it's so weird. All like the texts, all these things, it doesn't make sense. And then very recently, or not so recently, but pretty recently, there was the Dallas ICE shooting, and I'll cut over to that real quick with the Dallas ICE shooting. I think this is no, actually,
Why don't these guys ever have manifestos? Is the government too lazy to write them, or?
well, yeah, they slowed down the manifesto check. But actually, before we go over to the what you call it, the Dallas shooter, I want to talk about the memorial service, which, in my
Okay.
opinion, total disgrace of a ceremony. We
Yeah.
had all of the White House's top guys, Donald Trump, VP, the wife, all of these people, and they come out on this giant WWE-esque stage, giant, fireworks, everything like that. You have President
Mhm.
Trump standing in a bulletproof glass box on the stage talking about how much he loved Charlie Kirk or whatever, and all these things like that. Or like whenever he said he did not hate his opponent. That's where I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponent. I don't want what's best with my opponent, Trump said. That kind of thing. It's weird. And then he says he blames the left for political violence, radicalized cold-blooded monsters, like it says right here, and all these things like that. And like this whole, and he also made an announcement about autism at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. That it's insane how grotesque, how, in my opinion, it's evil. It's wrong.
Mhm.
It's inherently wrong and disgusting to take advantage of a man's death so far that you're going to make announcements, and you're going to blame people and disagree with the guy that's dead. I mean, things like that, it's wrong, and it's taking advantage of a dead man.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that this kind of talk right here that Trump is saying, he's blaming the entire. I mean, this is part of the diversion. This
Mhm.
is part of the divisive behavior that we talk about. And you can like Donald Trump or whatever, but what he's doing now is not what he was doing in 2016. This is not the Donald Trump that said, we're going to drain the swamp. He is the swamp. He is the $230 million from Israel. He has become part of the collective that he has promised to get rid of. And you can see how jaded he's become in only just a couple of years.
Yeah,
He has no respect. He never had any respect, but he definitely doesn't have
he
any
was
now.
he was able to mask it in 2016.
Yeah. He's just too jaded now. He can't do it anymore.
And
It's just
it's
over.
wrong, and that's what it's divisive because they want you to focus on the left versus the right. They don't want class consciousness. They don't want poor people realizing that hey, maybe the guy that's a little bit left wing, everything like that. Maybe he isn't the devil. What if it's the billionaire that doesn't want me to live? What if it's the billionaire that wants me to be a
Yeah.
pawn for the rest of my life and work at
Yeah,
McDonald's?
just because they say that they're a Christian too doesn't mean they love you.
Like how Peter Thiel is a doomsday fanatic, also the creator of Palantir, who talks about the Antichrist. We got a billionaire, a gay billionaire, lecturing us about the Antichrist while creating Palantir, which is a tracking software for the average American citizen that can put you, like or me or Dwight into these little boxes that basically says, yeah, this guy's a threat. This guy,
Mhm.
he holds views or he's done things to make him a threat. So we're gonna label him. And
I
it's
mean, think about what they've been doing for the last decade or so. Now, all this facial recognition, your thumbprints. This is the marketing capabilities down to, like I said before, a granular level. They can market to the individual very good. And I mean, what did we not learn about 1984? 1984 was written in the 50s, right? And we're starting to see exactly what he was talking about, the thought crimes, right?
hmm.
Even the funny thing is when they're talking about in 1984 how people believe that the government can hear you through the TV. Well, that was actually something that the KG, that the Eastern Berlin police force did, the Secret Service or whatever the hell they were, the secret police in
I,
East Berlin. They did that exact same thing though.
I
So
might be
I mean, if
mistaken.
you don't think the government can do that now, they
I'm
can
pretty
listen
sure
to
they
you in your
are with
car.
ICE. I believe ICE is getting contracts, or I might be a little bit wrong on this, but I had read this and listened to someone talking about this. But it was either ICE or some federal agency basically has the ability to listen through your phones, track you through your phones. They have like this immense capability for no reason. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something
Well,
like that.
AT&T, you can contract with AT&T since the 70s. Actually, back in the day, AT&T has a bunch of bunkers you can buy now. The government does. They were AT&T bunkers in case there was a nuclear war, so there would still be communication from coast to coast. But AT&T, law enforcement can buy the rights to anyone who uses AT&T, their phone messages, anything. Law enforcement, if they pay for it, goddamn, AT&T will give it to you. No questions asked. And so AT&T gets away from it by saying, well, we actually we don't give a fuck. We didn't actually do it. Like there's like multi. I don't remember exactly the way that they get away their name out of it, but they're like very slick about it. But
Money.
they basically sell people's data all the time. Yeah, it's all about money. They're like, yeah, but give us $1 million a year and you'll have access to anything you want.
Hey, yeah, God bless.
Um.
Go Blue Line, whatever.
Hmm.
And I wanted to, so we did with the memorial, obviously WDA memorial, and before we cut to that, we were talking about the Dallas shooter, and I have the page on the Dallas shooter. It's not this one. Uh, Here it is over here. The Dallas shooter does something very interesting. He also writes on let's look at this handwritten notes left behind by the man who shot at Dallas Ice Field office on Wednesday. Hatred for the federal government and led investigators to believe he wanted to target ICE personnel and property, even though all three victims were detainees, not ICE agents, detainees. And they're like, and his words were definitively anti-ice, a collection of crude notes, and he used like a pencil or something to write on his bullet, which is down here. Here's a picture of him. This is Satan incarnate, the evil left right here. That's their top guy.
So he wanted to hit the ICE agents and then killed all the detainees. Okay,
Yeah,
or
kill
not
three
kill them,
agents,
but
and you can kind of see it right
really killed
here.
all three.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, an 8 mm. Oh, so it's 8 mm. An 8 mm bolt action rifle. That's like German, is it not? That's like uh
Yeah, it's European. Europeans usually millimeter. They use that metric system. So yeah, it's probably like
that's
I
like a
think this is
Mauser.
the one I was talking about. The Mauser. Yeah, this is the Mauser that I was talking about.
Yeah, and
It's
these are the
a
bullets,
German Mauser.
anti-ice written on it. And look, just one bullet with like a Sharpie, anti-ice. This guy clearly, and with all of his crude notes that could have never been written. And let's look at the note. In one note, the sure, yes, it was me. It was just me and my brain. I can what? Okay, you okay? Like that. I haven't read this yet, but this pisses me off. The big bad guy who shot the ICE agents. In one note, the shooter wrote, "Yes, it was just me and my brain." The notes provide a game plan of the attack and target areas of the facility. Do they think that the American people are genuinely this retarded? Or excuse me, but this dumb? Um,
They
like
must be, right?
like the American people, they just presume that the American people are this insanely dumb that they're like, yes, that the note the shooter wrote was, yes, it was just me and my brain. And then he listed a game plan, and he referred to ICE employees as people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck, which they are, for being honest. We're giving $50,000 bonuses to ICE agents so they can go and arrest poor people that work on like farms and at Home Depot. So
Yeah.
those are our heroes. Salute them. I mean, like, okay,
Yeah, dude, they don't even work at the Home Depot. They're looking for work outside the Home
yeah.
Depot. It's
So
like
and then the truck
You're
manager,
not
the
even
ICE
making your
agent.
job.
Yeah, or like recently they tackled an old man who works at a was it a car wash. They tackled him twice, and now he went to the and then they imprisoned him for 12 hours, and he's in the hospital now suing them. Old man, like he's a legal U.S. citizen, old man, and he said, "You do not f with ICE," or something along those lines. Um, the notes indicate he did not expect to survive the attack. Rothrock added. Rothrock. This guy probably has a
Rothrock?
this guy, let's be honest, this guy probably has secondary citizenship in Israel. Uh,
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh my
Mister
God.
Mister Mister Justein Rothrock, he determined that he determined that the guy was actually anti-government and he wanted all ICE agents to die. That kind of thing. It's like, are we really gonna is the American people supposedly this stupid? Anyways, he hoped to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees and any other innocent people. It seems that he did not intend to kill the detainees or harm them, but he only killed the detainees.
yeah, dude, he's a terrible shot. That's for
Which,
sure.
yeah, either a terrible shot or he was an or I mean, hell, he could be anti-detainee or whatever, anti-Mexican. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I
like,
mean,
and I mean, like a bunch of handwritten, basically, probably they were probably like napkins or something like that, and then he only has enough ink left over to write on one bullet anti-ice. Like,
you
dude,
know, my real question is, why is it all of a sudden that people are writing on bullets using high caliber rifles that are older?
exactly.
All of a sudden, right? This is exactly what they did with Stephen Paddock, right? I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm not gonna talk anything about what he did or what happened, but it's just odd that now they're like, wow, look at these weapons that they're using, these high powered rifles. They're not going to call it your hunting rifle like Ronald Reagan did. Ronald Reagan said, why you need a machine gun? Just use your hunting rifle, right? But they're going to call it a high powered rifle because it has a great scope on it and you can shoot somebody accurately with little training. I don't know, isn't that what the gun is designed for?
Yeah,
I mean, like it's a hunting rifle, it's a bolt action, right? Do you want to get rid of the assault rifles and the bump stocks that you made Stephen Paddock carry 23 of them up the stairs, or
I always say, train till you can carry, what is it, 500 pounds of equipment up an entire staircase by yourself. That's what you gotta be able to do.
Yeah.
But look at this guy. He's like, hello, my fellow liberals, anti-ice. I want to go shoot some ice agents. My fellow Democrats. We gotta get those ICE agents. And then he writes on one bullet with his ballpoint pen anti-ice, and then he scribbles on a bunch of notes that he's like, man, I really hope to get those ICE agents. This dude was probably like some racist or something like that. Shot a bunch of detainees, and then they're like, oh man, we gotta fix this. And then they had the 40 IQ FBI agent doodle on the bullet and write a bunch of notes out that said, he's like, yeah, I really don't friggin' like ice, anti-ice.
Yeah, and you can tell when it's the U.S. government and when it's Israel. You can tell the difference.
Like, dude, like if this guy really was a guy, I mean, like, look at the was it the Industrial Revolution and its consequences. Look at people like that, like their books and their manifestos and their writings. If these people, they take time, okay, and then whenever it's somebody who has no apparent motive, it's all of a sudden, oh, well, the shooter, he wrote on 32 napkins his entire manifesto, and then he wrote on the bullets that he really doesn't like ICE agents. Catch this, homosexual, like that guy. It's like, dude, we are like the assumption that the American people are below like 12 IQ is really hurting.
Especially our generation. You see, young people are are they're thinking a little too clearly because we're not encapsulated by this propaganda. Sometimes we can be, but when we become conscious in saying, "Hey, this is far right. Hey, this is extreme," or "This is far left, man. Like this is extreme," and we could say, "Wow, this is some crazy rhetoric," right? When you're able to tell that to yourself and actively continue to say that, you're in a much better position than a lot of people, and you kind of start to see things a little bit differently. I talk to a lot of old people, and there's a difference. You either find the guy who says, "You're right, I completely agree," and they understand, like, not only are they don't trust the government, but they know who funds them too. And then you have the ones that are just like,
System trusters.
yeah, system trusters, or they love Israel because they're a Christian, and they say, well, it doesn't matter about anything. They're Jews. It doesn't matter if they believe that America's Adam and that we're all going to blow up and we deserve to
That's
die.
the issue.
You
That's
know,
and that's a prominent issue with like I'm a Protestant. He's a Catholic, but I'm a Protestant, and it's a prominent issue in Protestantism with evangelicals and things like that, that we have been indoctrinated by Zionism. Zionism and the Jewish people are entirely different things. Zionism is a American or I believe it was an American idea, like 1912, to basically give a Jewish homeland. And it was a fanatical, and the guy took it to the Pope, and the Pope said, "This is like insanely dumb. You're a heretic. Get out of my house." Kicked him out. So he was like, "Oh,
yeah.
let me go take advantage of the Protestants that need something to do," and he got the
It
Protestants.
was particularly it was 1912, yeah, I think, or 1914. But it was the UK sending a letter to Rothschild. Yeah, it was the Dear Lord Rothschild letter, and it was basically saying, "Hey, Juden, here's some land for you in
Yeah,
Palestine."
I don't remember if this is true or not, but wasn't there like a prior agreement where they're like, "Yeah, if we can get the Americans in the war, we'll do some things. Well, we'll get,
In World War II.
I think it was World War One, something like that." There was some agreement where they're just like, yeah, look, if we can do something, we can get the Americans involved, and you slide us a little hinky dinky. I
So I kind of would believe in something like that because we should look into that because now that I think about it, the reason why America got involved in World War One was because of the sinking of the USS Lusitania, which the Germans apparently blew it up because Kaiser Wilhelm said, "I need to blow you up. You harvest
yeah,
me."
or like how
And like,
Japan was just like, yeah, let's go bomb America.
but let's ask ourselves, guys, why was Germany even in World War One? Right? Like Germany was involved in World War One because 30 days before Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, Austria-Hungary basically forced Germany to sign a agreement with them, be like, "Yeah, we'll help you if you ever get exploded." And then he gets his head blown off by a Serbian nationalist because they missed the bomb and he blew up the car behind him and he was going to the hospital. His driver was his personal driver, didn't know his way around. He'd made the wrong turn down a dead end, and the dude who was there to assassin just happened to be on the street corner eating a sandwich, about to kill himself. And he's like, "Wow,
Oh my
Archduke!"
God, the heavens have opened up and let me get this nerd chance.
Yeah, and he blows his brains out. And then there we go, right? World War One starts, and it turns
And,
out they
and
were
then Hitler
fighting
fights in World
Russia.
War One, and then and then they're like, dude, Germany sucks ass now, dude. Everything is terrible here, uh, and
Yeah, the
and
Weimar
like that,
Republic
and
ruined
people
Russia.
forget, like, dude, people like, okay, the what Hitler did. We're going to clarify what Hitler did. Bad, not good.
Bad shit.
Bad, 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 bad. But you have to like initially realize what his motives were. Okay, the guy, he read Henry Ford's, like, the Daily Jew or whatever it was called.
Oh yeah, I did that. Henry Ford was a heavy anti-Semite.
Yeah, he was very anti-Semitic. But you also have to look at what was going on in Germany. The Jews owned a lot of property. They owned brothels. They owned, and basically, like, like all the brothels, lots of the businesses, and they also were heading homosexual, transgender surgeries, things like that. They were heading all of these programs, and people like Hitler saw this, and that's why his following grew so quickly, because Hitler basically took the advantage of the idea that, like, hey, we're losing our masculinity, we're losing our identity, and that's kind of what people do now, like with white supremacists think we're losing our identity, this and that. That's what he did. He said we're losing our identity as a nation. We had to fight back. And initially, he tries to send them
He
out of
wasn't
the
even a
country.
Christian.
No, he wasn't even a
He
Christian.
didn't.
Or actually, no, he was a Christian in his youth, but then he was just like, yeah, I don't like God
He
too
believed.
much.
Well, he created the German Christianity. He did not believe in Christianity himself, but he knew that Germans wouldn't accept
They
that.
love
So
God.
yeah, he used a manipulative form of Christianity.
And he was very
Uh,
good at hiding what he did. I mean, a lot of Germans didn't even know
yeah.
about the camps. Auschwitz, they didn't know about this stuff.
And that's because they idolized Hitler. I mean, and I think it's important to mention to people that even though people can be terrible, evil people, they can still be really good at things. They can be really good at leading. Look at Nick Fuentes, right? Nick Fuentes can have people walking down the streets and shouting "America first." Not a lot of people can do that. That
No,
doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great person, but that does show
he
that they
has
have some leadership
his
capability.
afflictions. He has his afflictions, but like, I mean, no, the guy that is called a white supremacist, if he can speak to a crowd of black women, and they
Yeah.
listen, that's it says something. You have to like look at it, and maybe he's not Hitler, but yeah, it's a quality that a lot of people have, and Hitler definitely had
Yeah.
that, and
Well,
Hitler
people
was
compare
behind
him to
it.
Hitler. I mean, he's always been compared to Adolf Hitler. But if you listen to anything Nick Fuentes said, he's never claimed to be a white supremacist. He's never claimed to hate any other race of people. He has said things,
Yeah, he
that
says
he
the N
wants a
word.
majority white. Yeah, he did the N word quite a bit. But like he never has said that he only wants whites in America, or he wants to get rid of all these other races. I think truly what he's against is foreign nations impacting our country, particularly Israel, and the countries that have like a strong grip, keeping America back from helping America.
Yeah,
And I think the real truth about what America is and who makes up America is that everybody makes up America. Everyone that speaks our language and shares our values, irregardless of their religion or where they originate or what their family is like. If you're an American and you live here and you want to be here and you practice our values and our laws the same way that we do, and you can
and
do
this is
whatever
like,
you
yeah,
want in China,
and
town, you're American.
and a lot of politicians, they'll usually say this and then turn out to be like a hyper racist, but they're like,
Hmm.
they're like, all of my, there is no such thing as black race, white race. They're all the human race. And they say that, and then they turned out to be like a super white supremacist that wants like death to everybody. But it's true. I mean, like, look, there's
The
white people,
race
there's Asians.
exists, but
It exists,
the
but
race exists, but being an American is about
it's
sharing,
looking past that.
right?
It's looking past all that.
Right. It's about sharing some
Because
kind of common value.
we aren't. I mean, look, dude, America, like somewhere like Britain, that's maybe like predominantly white people, thing like that. America is everybody that came over here looking for a better life. We have Mexicans, Hispanics, everything like that that came over here. We had the Irish that got, for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, we were racist to Irish people for a while. All these people, and they came over here and it's seek of a better life, and that's why we're the boiling pot. It doesn't matter what you look like, what's your family. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim. It doesn't matter if you're an Islamist or whatever. It doesn't matter what you are, as long as you join us and you're American. That's the point. That's what Ronald Reagan was talking about, the boiling pot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so simple to look past the rhetoric of our politicians and say, you're wrong. This is right. We know what being an American is. We know that you don't have to be white and a Christian to be an American.
It's
They're not going
it was
to
never mandated. It was never
enact.
guaranteed.
They're not going to enact a Sharia law
And
on you
we
guys,
have a thing
right?
about Sharia law too. I want to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, Sharia.
Because
That's what it's called.
Sharia law is basically, it's not a real law. Basically, it's Jewish, or not Jewish, excuse me. I have that in mind, right? It's Muslim, basically like ways to live. It's like, their tradition, that kind of thing. That's generally what Sharia is. And our stupid lawmakers in places like Florida and stuff like that, they passed the anti-Sharia law, or I'll actually bring it up, and this actually comes into part which I want to talk about, was um, the Mormon church shooting where one person died and nine were shot. I'll open up the thing, and I was reading this, and it caught my eye because not so much on the post itself, but and not Trump's tweet. Where is it? Hello. There was like a whole thing I was looking at in here. They're just gonna hide it from me. But basically, we had people in, we had, it was a Miss America, and she, or something like that. I think it was Miss America, right? Or it's like Miss somewhere, Miss United States. She was like, he's like, yeah, they're like, we have a Muslim. Oh, here it is. It loads after I start talking, right? Um, That's Cash Patel. Who's this? This is a Mormon church. Benny Johnson. I hate Benny Johnson. Or I don't hate him. I just don't like him. Here it is. Laura Loomer watching the attack on Christians today in Michigan. On Christians, not people, Christians. It's like okay, yeah. This was. We don't even know what the target was. I mean, there can be, and there's also zero evidence that the shooter was Muslim, by the way, or at least as of now. Watching the attack on Christians today in Michigan, I will say it is only going to get worse. The Democrats in Michigan are running a Muslim for Senate in 2026 named Abdul El Said. And he's an openly tied Muslim Brotherhood and refused to condemn Sharia law. Refusing to condemn Sharia law is like basically like, yeah, I refuse to condemn my religion. I refuse to condemn my way of life, that kind of thing. I refuse to condemn it's like a Christian saying I refuse to
Mhm.
condemn the Ten Commandments, that kind of thing. It's like what are you asking of them? Like you can't.
Well, I mean, that's exactly
You're cutting out.
trying to. You are too. Hold up.
All right, I thought you're good now. But it's like asking a Christian to condemn the Ten Commandments. It's like asking like it's absurd. And you're like, oh well, why hasn't he condemned it? Because he doesn't have to. It's his right not to condemn it, and he's running for Senate. Good for him. And this does, all people like Laura Loomer do, is fuel hatred, fuel anti-Islamic, xenophobic views, things like that, racist views, and that's all it is.
Well, just
It's just a
look at
constant
all
push.
these conservative people that have come out.
You're cutting out again. But like here's from
What
the
about
Southern,
now?
not anymore, but here's from the. Oh, okay. I was gonna tell you who wrote the article. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that. Dude. Anyways, but this is Southern Poverty Law Center, and it's like this is there's anti-Sharia laws. There's been 201 introduced, 201 of them, and 14 have been enacted. And basically, Sharia law is basically it's held across the country. And it's dumb. It strikes the fear of Islam. I didn't even show you the page at Twitter. It strikes the fear of Islam that does not to be found because Islamic people and Muslims and things like that is closer to Christians than, in my opinion, the Jews. Inherently, the religions, maybe not the people, but the religions are inherently closer. In
Even in the Quran,
the Quran, they taught that Jesus
even
is
in
the
the
final
Quran, it
prophet.
says that. Well, it says in the Quran that that Muslim Jews are dirty or whatever it says, and then it's like and then it talks about how Muslim. I forget. I saw it in the verse of. I gotta find it again. But it was like Muslims have more. The Christians are pleasant, and we have more in common. Something like that. But they're talking about how Jews were not very nice, and how the Christians were very pleasant people.
Well, it's because of that.
Uh,
I mean, like
I have to actually find it. Let
yeah,
me look it up now.
do find that. But like, I mean, in the Quran, you know, I mean, or I believe it's in the Quran. Basically, it's like, yeah, Jesus is a prophet. He's not the Messiah to the Islamic people. Obviously, they have Muhammad, but he's still a prophet. Our Jesus in the Bible is a prophet in Islam. And when you go over to Judaism in the Talmud, Jesus is quote unquote boiling in pig shit. So it definitely it kind of sets a divide between the two, right? So when we stoke all this fear of Islam and Muslims, and you look at people with their hijabs and their traditional wear, and you get scared, that's people creating a divisive nature around you and them. That person, that man is your brother, that woman is your sister, no matter what their religion, their color, their belief is, and and stoking fear is wrong. Um,
Hmm.
it's just insane.
Here's the one here. It's Surah Al Madah 82. Right? It says, "You
Nice.
surely find the most bitter towards the believers to be the Jews and the polytheists, and the most gracious to be those who call themselves Christians." I'll send the link here to you.
Yeah, I'll pop that up.
It's at Quran.com.
Quran.com. That's, I mean, look, you go to Talmud.com. That's probably not a thing. You go, oh yeah, the Talmud wasn't even supposed to be seen to the Goyim. It wasn't. I believe there's a verse in the Talmud where it's like, yeah, the Goyim is not supposed to see this because they will not like it, and that's true. I mean, like, we don't like it. They have a lot of bad practices, a lot of horrible things to say, and you have to remember as a Christian, and this steps more into theological talk, but as a Christian, in my opinion, it is very hard to be both a Christian and support Israel, not Israel, support Judaism. You can like Judaism, like I said, they're your brother. It doesn't matter. A Jewish man is and Jewish woman is your brother and sister at the end of the day. But on a theological basis, you cannot say, "Oh, well, their God is my God," this and that. You have to remember when they rejected Jesus, Jesus is God in the Bible. Jesus is God. He says, "I am." Before Abraham, I was, or I am, and that kind of thing. They rejected Jesus, which implies that the God that they worship is not our God. It is not the same. The same. It's not Yahweh. So when we say, "Oh, Yahweh," in our Protestant churches and stuff like that, it's like we're talking about a different guy, that kind of thing. So, like when we use the Jewish and Hebrew words for Messiah and things like that, it's like if you're basing this off of Judaistic, uh, coherence and that we're all the same religion wise, you're basically just saying that, like, yeah, no, Jesus isn't the right guy, because that's all it is. Jesus is our God, and God is Jesus, and they said no, he isn't, and they rejected God, and that's when they got cast out of Israel. I mean, hell, that's what's happened like 4 billion times over in Israel. The Jews, they do something horrible, and then they get wiped out. I mean, hell, Denarius, or one of the Roman emperors, he had to kill, or he didn't have to, but he did it because he basically had to. There was a Jewish revolt. They killed a ton of legionnaires and stuff like that and took over Jerusalem. He got word of that and he went and wiped them all out, almost entirely getting rid of the Jewish population because they decided that it was in the best interest to kill a bunch of people to take over a land because they didn't like being owned by, or being not being owned, but being occupied by the Romans. So they do things and they have all these beliefs, and then we're like, oh, but they're the good guys. They're the same as us. I mean, the Jewish guys are God, and blah blah blah. It's not. It's not. It's a theological thing, but it's not. A Jewish man could be my brother, but his God is not my God.
Hmm. They
And
say it's
pop.
called the Abrahamic God, but then they hold beliefs that outside of the written actual text that or about Adam and how Adam is actually America. They talk about this when they have these discussions about their mysticism, and they always have classes, right? This is
Learn
it's
Jewish
how they
magic.
teach. Well, when they do these, they do the classes on the Talmud and stuff. Like it's very big in Jewish communities to have that knowledge, especially those. I don't know the particulars, but there's always, particularly I guess men or whatever that want to go into that. Right? There's always like a need, right, to have that knowledge and that understanding and like a deep understanding of it. And like not, and it's important to understand that not all Jews believe this, right? Not all of them are big and evil or whatever. But there are ones that go and they talk about it. And there's even recordings of them teaching these classes, and they're like, yeah, America's evil. Who cares if they're destroyed? It's all written in the scripture. It's all written in the prophecies. They're Adam. America's Adam. And it's like, okay, what do you mean?
Oh, and another thing, if you wanna look into like a rabbit hole, look at the fertility prayers that has the Jewish fertility prayers, and things like that. Or like how there's the wall in whatever it is, Jerusalem or something like that. You got the
Hmm.
wall. There's a lot you could talk about the wall, and there's a lot of room for talk about it. But look at what young men and men in general, Jewish men, do at the wall. When our politicians that are owned by AIPAC go over there and they touch the wall and they say, "Oh, I'm closer to God," or whatever, like that, and they're like, "Thank you, Mr. Netanyahu," and they get all giddy and they run off. What the people there are doing, the men and the young men, they're thrusting at the wall. If you actually look at videos, the men are actively hip thrusting at the wall or during prayer or things like that. Is that not weird to anybody that these guys
I
are hip thrusting a wall?
I think this is like part of like some ceremony. I've seen it, but I don't know exactly what they're doing. Let me see.
I mean, there's not a lot of things you can interpret with hip thrusting if we're being entirely honest.
Let's see
Uh,
why. Let's look it up,
and
guys.
I look and I
Oh,
try and I actually try to look it up that before, and it's just like they're like, yeah, I Google this one. It's
shucking, shuckling.
shuckling.
Yeah, it says it's a behavior commonly known as shuckling or a ritual swaying that is a practice of deep prayer and meditation at the Western Wall and other prayer sites. Well, sometimes misinterpreted as wailing over past misfortunes. The movement is a physical expression of the soul's longing to connect with God, similar to a flame flickering. Shucking can also be a help concentration, prevent sleep during long prayers, and may have been a practical habit from a time when many people shared a single book of prayers.
Okay. And well, all that. So
But
we
why the
hip
kiss my though?
thrust. So we hip thrust the wall. That's our
Yeah,
that's
we,
that's the big idea. Yeah, let's like what are we doing? Like this is such a weird tradition. Like I mean, hell, they have all their weird traditions, like putting your sins on a chicken to fool God, which is a thing they do occasionally, where they'll attempt to fool God by putting all of their sins on a chicken and killing it, um, which is barbaric.
hmm This is exactly what God was like. Well, don't kill your son on accident, please. I was just testing you.
Yeah,
We
and
stopped doing
Old Testament
sacrifices
God was
because
just
of
doing
Jesus.
whatever, dude. He's just like, and I'll always see something. It's like, yeah, go kill your son, or yeah, and he's like, dude, look, if you love me, you'll blow your son's head off, okay? And it's just like, damn, man, like you're talking to me. I'm pretty sure I believe you.
Yeah, you're the voice of my head. You're.
Yeah, or like when the kids made fun of, I think it was Isaac or something like that, and then he sent two she
Mhm.
bears to kill all 40 children. Um, like or like it's not like there's like the pigs that jump off the cliff because they're possessed or something like that. With that, there's a lot of weird stuff in the Old Testament that like Protestants and really just Christians in general don't talk about because it's like, look, we pick and choose as Christians generally. We pick and choose. We say, oh, I don't really like the part where God killed a bunch of children with two bears, but I do like the part where we say gay people are evil. Or like things like that. It's like, dude, we're picking and choosing, and the parts we're picking and choosing are just wrong. You know what I mean? Like we don't stone our neighbors anymore. We don't stone people for planting side by side or wearing multiple cloth. I mean, every person on earth would be dead right now, besides like the people that are nudist, because they are wearing mixed cloth because we just stone each other to death. You know what I mean? I don't have to stone my brother regularly. I don't have to stone my uncle because we pick and choose and we say well and the New Testament doesn't exactly tell us to stop. It's barbaric, but the New Testament never said, hey, all right, no more stoning, let's wrap it up. And when Jesus says I am the law, and we interpret that as, hey, let's stop stoning, but we keep the same, like it's like, okay, if we're going to interpret it as stop stoning, why are we going to also interpret that when Jesus said I am the law, he excluded the part about the gay people. He's like, yeah, well, the gay people, well, I don't like them. I got prejudiced against them up here in my holy room. It's like, I'm not too fond of the homosexuals, but stoning, that's a little bit much for me, even though I sat with whores and beggars and tax collectors, which I always think is funny, because like tax collectors are bad people even in the Bible, and yet we glaze people like our government a lot. It's like, dude, these people are the big tax collectors, and we're just like, oh man, I love the government. God bless the people that send 20 billion to Israel. God bless the people that give tax cuts to the billionaires. Dude, the tax collector has always been the bad guy. We just give them a new name and put them in a government position. We call them senators.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. You've done
We're
nothing
not gonna
wrong.
stone
Yeah.
you.
We're not gonna stone you.
And it's
We
just, hmm?
got
You go.
Mr. Raccoon. Huh?
Huh?
Well, I mean, well, I think it's pretty obvious, right? Like, we don't stone people to death because it's probably a bad idea. I mean, it's just like, why would we? Why should we? I
It's
mean,
just, I like
we live in
stoning.
America. We live in a first world country. We can just inject them lethally. We don't have
Yeah,
to stone
and
people to
I
death
hate that.
anymore.
I hate lethal injection because we're like, oh, it's so humane. Where he's sleeping into a deep sleep, and then you see the footage of the guy getting the lethal injection. He's like
Flaming.
he's like, dude, it's
It's
like, dude,
just burning his
he is
inside.
literally
Yeah.
dying actively, and you're like, oh, he's going out so peacefully, dude. Firing squad would be a lot more humane than lethal injection. There's a lot, like hanging is more humane because it kills you instantly unless you got like a big ass neck, like you're Mike Tyson or something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a mathematical thing that they did back in the day to make sure that your height and your weight would make sure that when you dropped, you
die.
actually did snap.
Yeah,
Yeah, your neck snapped.
So it's like dude, we have an illusion, we get rid of stoning, but we continue to shun gay people. We get rid of things like that. We do all these weird things and we pick and choose and we're like, oh well, this and that. Well, in the New Testament, well, Paul said that well, gay people are horrible and evil, uh, uh, or like with the revision in like 1940, homosexual didn't appear in the Bible till like 1940. Because do you think that Moses was talking about homosexuals back in his day in Hebrew? No. Yeah, he wasn't on his podcast talking about how we need to get rid of the homos.
For real?
Because that just it wasn't a word. And when we actually look at the translation, the actual translation until 1940, homosexuality was replaced or was originally sexual immorality. So being a
Hmm.
freak, how like when people they get freaky, that kind of thing, that's sexual
Yeah.
immorality. Because sex is a sacred thing. That's the point. It's a sacred thing. So whenever you add like whips and lashings and stuff like that to your bedtime excursion, that's immorality. Um, and then they changed it to homosexual because they're just like, oh, this seems like a cool word. This is all the hype now. We don't like these guys. And then
Well,
a guy,
particularly because it was about worshiping in the bedroom, instead
yeah,
of
it's it's
the
it's it's
crib.
it's a sacred thing. And then here comes a person, and then he says, hey, this is a bad thing. This is not good. The guy writes to the publisher of the Bible, like the Bible, but like the Bible that had introduced homosexual into its like lexicon.
Hmm.
He writes to him and he says, hey, look, this is going to be bad. People are going to use this against people. Like it's going to create division. It's going to be used against people. And they said, yeah, I understand. However, we can't update till 1970. I don't remember
Damn.
why. They had like some long ass copyright or something. I don't remember why. It was like 1970. They can't change it. And then other Bibles, because that's how new Bibles come out, new translations, all that, because they pick up
Hmm.
on other writings, and homosexual caught on because homosexual is a buzzword. That's all it is. I mean, it's a sexual orientation, but it's also a buzzword. I mean, how many politicians, if we put up a rack counter from 2000 to today, 25 years, homosexual's probably been used over a million times. Um,
Hmm.
because why? And it's like, why does it matter that much? It's just two dudes that like love each other like a one man woman. Like I feel like it's not that big of a. It's like, oh man, dude,
Well,
I think
especially
these
in a
damn
modern
gays.
America. I mean, if these people they pay taxes, they go to work,
And they
they do
pay
jobs.
taxes,
What
and
what
hell, they
harm
go to
does it
war.
do?
I mean, hell, we or Pete Hegseth in the Secretary of Defense. The guy took a gay man's name off the ship because he was gay. This guy had served in the Navy. He got discharged from the Navy for being homosexual. He was like, "Yeah, I am homosexual." They discharged him. He became the first openly gay like, city council member, and he was assassinated. And the Navy decided, "Hey, we should put his name on the ship." Pete Hegseth comes around and says, we're making the Navy more manly. The historically homosexual part of the military. We're making the military more manly. So we're going to remove the gay
Well, I
guy that got
mean,
killed."
that's exactly what is wrong with what's going on right now is that the right has complained for so long about the exact thing that they're doing. Oh, wow, they're targeting us. They're targeting us. They're making they're making our lives hard, and they did, right? The Biden administration. I mean, it's true that they did do these things. That Facebook and everyone has said it. YouTube, they all said, yeah, they did actually force us to go with their narrative and remove a lot of content that went against what they said. But then he's doing the same thing, doing the same thing,
Like
right?
with Jimmy
It
Kimmel.
all it is an illusion, right? It's just all big yabra, and it's all an illusion. They want us to believe for some reason that what they're doing is better, but it's all just for one big mass surveillance state. Every single politician and president that's up there in the big leagues, they all care about a mass surveillance state because they want it. They can have armed security with private guns because they can afford it, but you can't. You don't get to own a gun because you don't need a gun. You're just a normal citizen. You don't need to be able to shoot people, all right, who break into your home
Hmm.
because you can't afford private security. So
And you
you
know
don't
what
deserve
happens?
that.
It turns into a similar situation to what happened in the Middle East. When we went to the Middle
Hmm.
East, we got in the Middle East, and all of these civilians die because they would pull a gun on the armed man that broke into their house. A father with his two kids and his wife, he sits at a table, and then 5, 10 soldiers bust into his house pointing guns at him. You don't think he's going to reach around for his gun and say, "Whoa, my house is being raided. Let me fight back." And then he gets his head blown open, and now his kids are dead, or they're
Well,
alive and they see that happen. It's the same thing. That's what's going to happen. We take away all of our guns, and you're going to have people getting busted, and they're going to fight back, and then they're going to die. And we're going to have little
hmm
kids that raise up to hate the government even more than the regular person hates the government. We don't like the government. The government doesn't like us, so why should we glaze them?
Yeah, and well, I think it's so stupid too because it's like I mean, going into the Middle East, it's like they have weapons already from the war with the Soviets, and it's like you don't think that these people. I mean, you're breaking into their house at like 3 in the morning. Like you don't think they're gonna pull out a gun? I mean, they live in the middle of the
Yeah,
fucking desert,
you
dude.
bust into the
Like,
house and you don't think, oh, pop up there with his AK-47 beside the bed is going to run downstairs and try and figure out who's trying to get in his house, and
well,
he's
you
dead.
know why they stopped kicking down doors and running straight in, right? In the Middle East, is because they'd sit through. You'd break in and you'd run in that room, and because everyone would run in and clear it. Well, they just sit there with the window in the window, and they'd just have a fucking machine gun, and they would just fucking obliterate the door, and that's why they stopped doing that shit. But it's like you it's like you have to see it. Like, I mean, a lot of the people you see in the films. There's one film where he's like he shoots the dude and he's like, "Oh, don't pick it up," and the kid picks it up, and
And
yeah, well,
yeah,
the kid picks it up, and then the dad, and then the
is it American
grandpa, and different
Sniper? I
generations.
think too, where the guy like the mom gives the bomb to the baby or whatever, and he runs down the road. Uh,
Well, I've heard stories about that too. People talking about it, on podcasts and stuff. The one guy was like, "Yeah, there was this girl, and she was crying, and she was running towards us, and he was like yelling at her, and he's like, I really did not want to shoot her, and he didn't shoot her because she stopped, and she just stood there, and she was just crying her eyes out, and she just ran back, and he said that it broke his heart because he knew that if she kept running, he would have to shoot her because she had a bomb, and but she knew going back she was going to get killed and bad things would probably happen to her. I
we
mean, she
have
was
to
gonna die anyways.
we have to look at this like this, dude. You take over, you go into a country, you invade the country, you leave it war torn for 50 years. All these different people, Soviets, these kind of things, they go in these countries, and then
Hmm.
now everybody's scared. I mean, and then we have all these revolutions, like the Islamist revolution, where now the women are treated like dogs and stuff like that. And we have all these things, and these
Hmm.
people, they're scared for their lives. They're raised in horror. They're raised to find out my daddy got shot by a Soviet, my daddy got shot by a U.S. troop, my daddy got shot by a British guy. It's like yeah, mom got her head blown open in the kitchen because she pulled a knife whenever 12 soldiers ran in the house. It's like, dude, you have to you have to realize we created soldiers. That this is our fault. This is the Soviets' fault. This is the British fault. We created little soldiers that hate us. And then we come over here and we're like, ah, yeah, well, those are the bad guys. Those are the evil guys. And then the same thing,
Well, it's
like
the
I was
same
talking about
thing.
Sharia law, it fuels into
Same
the
with Israel.
anti-Islamist hate. Like, it fuels into that anti-Islam because we decided that well, Islamic people we can hate them and get away with it.
Well, it's the same thing with Israel. Israel has continuously fueled the civil war in Syria and all these other conflicts that they continuously get involved in, particularly with Palestine. And America just is okay with it. And the rest of the world isn't. Why is America one of the only people that stayed in the UN when everybody walked out on Benjamin Netanyahu? I think that honestly, people are kind of waking up to exactly where all of this is coming from, particularly the wars in the Middle East. Yeah, America, we funded them, but why are we going to war in the Middle East continuously? Why is there continuous conflict? And it's like when you look at the money trail, a lot of times it kind of leads back to only a couple of places. Either it's Israel or it's one of these high ranking Saudi families or someone in the Middle East or some big, powerful, rich guy, Like it's always like some sect of the world that has like a vested interest in continuous warfare, right? That's why nobody liked, what's her name? Nikki Haley, right? Because nobody wanted to vote for the lady who made all her money and got rich off of, joining the board for Boeing, in the military industrial
Yeah,
complex after being broke as hell.
yeah, we literally we put war hawks and warmongers, and it's like it's important to look at who you vote for. Like I saw this Democrat guy. He was running for Senate
Mhm.
in Alabama, which is different. I mean, like of course there's going to be somebody, but he came off genuine, and then he goes full. We gotta protect Israel. It's okay. It's like and he probably would be a war hawk. Most people are war hawks without realizing it. Um, because we kind of developed a war culture. You know how like people say, "Well, we have a gun culture, this and that." That's
Mhm.
kind of true, but we have a war culture too. We love going into war. maybe not a lot of people are going to war, but our government sure does, and the people that get put in our government really do. And you have to
Mhm.
remember the people that so-called represent you, our representatives or so-called senators. Senators don't even represent you; they represent like 11 million people. Like in like Florida, they represent like is it like 20 million people each. Uh,
Well,
there's just
yeah,
no
think
way.
about it. Think about it. Actually, more representatives now represent more than they originally did, were intended to. Each representative now, they used to be about 700 or 600,000 people or whatever. Now I think it's almost a million people each representative represents, on average. And I mean, that's just crazy. And I mean, yeah, the senators too. I mean, imagine the state of California.
Well,
How
California,
many?
yeah, one senator represents 19.8 million people.
Mhm.
That's insane. It's two people that there's a lot of political views there, and two people basically represent everybody. It's absurd.
And there is really nothing that is really representative about America because we're not willing to increase our Congress. We're not willing to let more people in. There needs to be more seats. There needs to be an expansion of our Congress, of our Senate. There needs to be another reworking of our Constitution. We don't need to fundamentally change what it says, but we need to create an amendment and open more spots so there is more representation and more availability for young people to come into this Congress and actually change the United States.
Because
The United States should stop protecting its own interests by saying, well, we don't want more politicians. We want to keep the same old hags and fucks that have continuously thrown us under the bus, taken our money, and robbed us of everything
warhawks.
we've ever owned. Yeah.
Because look, it is entirely impossible for 535 people total to represent 335 million people.
I agree.
You cannot. It doesn't matter how many state congresses we have, whatever. There's like for Alabama, 9 million people or whatever. There's like 35 state senators and like 75 state representatives. Even then, that doesn't work because those people barely represent even the majority. And of course, you do the chop and chop and chop, and barely anybody votes in these elections. Like 10,000 maybe per seat, that kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
but on the grand scale, like dude, 45 or 3 5 4, 4 excuse me 535 people for an entire country is absurd because it just doesn't work. I mean, you cannot have. I mean, hell, those people don't will never meet you. They'll never know you, and all they're gonna do is vote for war, give money to Israel, and hope you die one day so they can replace you with more taxpayers. That kind of thing. There's like, yeah, well, once you die, your sons will grow up to be taxpayers, and I can put more money to Israel.
More, yeah, more money to Israel. You know, we have to help them. We have to. They only stole our nuclear weapons program and
They
don't let
can't
us
they
expand
can't do
anything.
anything themselves. Mr. Netanyahu is like a 12-year-old baby.
Yeah, dude, they basically can't defend themselves. Obviously, they've never done that. Like, there are politicians. They all say that Israel's our greatest ally. It's only because they have nuclear weapons and they live and they're are
Middle
the
East.
non-only in the Middle East. I mean, and also because they own all of them too, so they kind of have to say that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
when you look at, there's only like I think it's like 15 total people out of 535. Like 15 of them are not owned by an APAC related company or something like that. NORPAC, APAC, that kind of thing.
mhm.
It's insane. Like I mean, we have basically nobody that truly represents us. It's just like, oh well, one day we'll make your state better, but for now, the poor little people of Israel need $20 billion.
Yeah, we'll give all this money to the Ukrainians too. By the way.
I know you worked so hard, so we took 90% of your paycheck and sent it to Israel. And that's basically what it is. And then also, just to make it a little better on you, a little easier on you, we made no tax on overtime, unless you work 12,000 hours this week. and we also gave some tax cuts to the billionaires because they really need it. They're the real Americans. You guys, you're the underlings.
Well, the truth is the 1% pays almost 50% of the income tax. Now the real evil right? The 1% is whatever, right? But
They
the
should pay
real evils are the
100%.
0.1%. They real the 0.1% is where the real evil lies, dude. Those are the rich
And
guys.
they
Look
say
at
they
Donald
say,
Trump not
"Oh,
even.
oh, we can't. It's just impossible. We can't tax them."
We can't, guys. We can't solve homelessness. There's only
There's
779,000
there's
homeless.
only like yeah, there's only like 2,000 people that control the entire world, but we can't do anything about it. And I know he has $200 billion, but we can't take any of it because it's all a net worth. Even though he pulled 100 million out to go have a wedding in Venice or whatever, and our
Uh
$55
huh.
million dollars for a ring, but we can't take any of it because it's imaginary money.
Right.
It's all
You know,
stocks.
well, and that's the thing, right? We have to start creating wealth in our communities. And I think that starts by getting a bunch of people together and making a trust. And anybody can make a trust,
Yeah,
can fucking buy gold and silver and start now for 30 years in the future. I mean, fuck, dude, fuck the government. What are they gonna tell you? No. You can't do that. We want your money. You know what? Do the same thing that these rich fucks do. Figure it out. Ask. Fucking look into it, dude. Fuck these guys. Do what they do, and then tell your friends about it. Once there's a collective mindset about wealth in America and how we have to change what we're doing fundamentally to
mm,
kind of put our country on the right direction, I think people will say, huh, yeah, you're right. There's going to be people that are skeptical, but once they see that, yeah, well, this is actually how it works, it's legit. This is what rich people do.
yeah.
Huh.
And
I
another thing
mean,
is, with the
good.
money, a lot of people they kind of like, well, it's he's a billionaire, but what can he actually do to help me? He's not a politician or whatever. They kind of get in their mindset that he can't really do anything. Let's take a look at a
Mhm.
person that's not a billionaire, and a millionaire, a very rich millionaire, but a millionaire. Harris Rosen, I'm assuming that's his name. He's a Florida millionaire. And he helped a community called Tangelo Park neighborhood in Orlando. And what he did is he was able to change like the high school graduation rate was at 25%. Horrible neighborhood, very poor, that kind of thing. He was able to by himself with the help of families and everything like that. He was able to get that graduation rate up to 100%. He gave $50 million to a Success Academy. He gave free preschool, free scholarships, trade schools, everything like that, and
Mhm.
he was able to bring this community out of the dirt basically by himself with his money. And this is a millionaire. A billionaire is a millionaire 1,000 times. And that's
Mhm.
just a 1 billion. These people have upwards of 200 billion, and they pick and choose. They say, "Oh, well, I'll help this one person." Like for example, Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk. He said, "Oh, well, Elon Musk or whatever." He said, "Oh, well, I'll pay for their students and their studies and everything like that." He could pay for the college education of every single American, probably like twice, probably 3 times, if we're being honest. That kind of thing.
Mhm.
And because it's possible, it's because we act like they're these little poor old billionaires that can't do anything because they don't have political power. Elon Musk was able to buy his way into the White House. I mean, like
Yeah.
Doge only exists because he gave Trump like a big old kiss, $100 billion or whatever. Um, he slobbered on his face and said, "Oh, Mr. Trump, let me in." Yeah, like the
Real.
big bad wolf, "Let me in, Mr. Trump, or I'll blow down your house and take away your funding."
Real.
But
Well, I mean, this is what's concerning about America, right? Is that the wealth exists, the money exists, and we just got to start putting it out there, and we have to start holding truth to power, and start saying this shit. That's what I've been doing. I mean, you got to point where you see and what you see,
see
and
a billionaire, get him,
and
get him.
I did not approve the message. Uh, um, and I mean, come on, like, if there's an issue, let it be known. That's called advocacy, and everybody should do that. The best advocate you'll ever have is yourself.
Hey,
Everybody
hey,
should
don't
have.
talk too much about advocacy, man. You'll be the next far left shooter.
Ah, right, right, right.
You'll write. I hate Trump on your 32 millimeter bullet from 1802.
Yeah, yeah, from my fucking howitzer.
Yeah, here's my ball. Here's my ball. What you call it, ball and a musket. Your little Civil War musket.
Yeah, my
You're
musket.
gonna take out 12 ice agents from a roof 20 miles away with your musket, and on each cannonball you're gonna write, I hate Trump. I hate ICE. My fellow liberals, we need to take down the establishment. like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah, this guy has an openly, like, definitely not
and,
leftist
and
podcast.
you're gonna write your entire manifesto in like like a hotel note, that kind of
All
thing.
right.
That's
Right.
that's that, that's what
He's
they're
like
gonna do.
18 health notes.
Yeah, 18 hotel notes are gonna be found in the back of your beat up car that has, especially a lot of fingerprints that aren't yours in it.
Yeah. Unidentifiable fingerprints by
They were probably his
42-year-old man.
fellow leftoids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, all the leftoids of Hazard, Kentucky. Like, come on.
Yeah, he's gonna take out Mobilini. He's gonna say they're gonna like, look at this far left evil Democrat. Mobilini was a true Trump supporter,
Yeah.
so they blew him open, and it's like,
He
dude,
was the Trump supporter.
it's
Yeah, he's just
so
a Democrat.
absurd how like we do we like it's like, dude, these people, they're probably outcasts. Like that guy, like you can't look at a Dallas Ice shooter and say, yeah, that guy probably got all the hose. That guy, that kind of thing. You can't look at me and say and tell you
All the
that.
Discord hoes, maybe.
Maybe he had a lot of e-kittens, that kind of thing. This guy was
Yeah.
probably a social outcast, and then he was picked up by a federal agent who said, "Hey, you want your life to be mean something, or something like that." Or he was so delusioned that he got talked
Mhm.
into it. Because like, dude, look, if I was going, and I'm not suicidal, if I was gonna do something that stupid, I would at least have the gall to like put it in like a document or something. I mean, hell,
Yeah.
the shooter, the socially awkward shooter, up in Buffalo, I think it was Buffalo, New York, the one that he shot up the Tops supermarket.
Yeah.
He was like a 4chan soy jack kind of guy, very very weak minded, and he was, and like this kind of thing. He at the very least, before he did his shooting, was able to upload like his thing to like 4chan, stuff like that. He was able to get on a Google Doc, whatever, and write it all through Discord. He was able to do all of this, but you're telling me the guy that was like, yeah, I'm a super anti-Trumper, anti-icer. He couldn't write anything besides on some napkins they found while it was raining. Like, okay. Yeah, they had these things in a
Yeah.
plastic bag they threw up on the roof next to his body or whatever. Um, because like I said, 40 IQ FBI agent, he wrote that on the bullet and then he ran away. Um, and it's just so dumb. And then like JD Vance is like, dude, look, if you promote violence against the law enforcement, you should go straight to hell. Okay, for one, Vice President telling me to go straight to hell, not very friendly. I didn't like that very much.
Mhm.
He's not my top guy. He's Pierre Thiel's top guy. He's not my top
Mhm.
guy. And like it's just dumb. Like, dude, like you have the right to say you hate cops. Maybe you don't have the right. Maybe you get arrested if you say you want to kill cops, but you have the right to say you hate cops. And I think it's important to distinguish that cops and ICE people are not the same. Thin blue line is not, in my opinion, is not applicable to ICE agents. ICE agents are punks, no lifes, and losers that signed to an agency to get a $50,000 bonus so they could go arrest poor Mexican people. The most of the
Yeah.
people, and I saw a thing. It says Schrodinger's immigrant. I'm assuming the listener, because it's obvious. I mean, Schrodinger, his Schrodinger's box, he's the cat, he's dead or alive. Schrodinger's an immigrant.
Mhm.
Either he's lazily taking up all the welfare, or he's too busy taking up all the jobs, and that's Schrodinger's immigrant. What
You
is
can't have both.
You can't have both, and we push both. We say, oh, well, they have all the welfare, but they're also taking up every job in America and putting us all out of work. No, they're not doing either. They make up a lot of the money we get, and they work the jobs that we don't want to work. I don't want to work in the strawberry field for 20 hours a day, collecting all the strawberries so I can go home, and then he goes to sleep in his truck, gets out the next day, and does the same exact thing. I don't want to do that, but he is more than willing to because he wants a life here, and he's probably better than I mean, hell, you go to like guy like go to California, he's probably better than 90% of the people there. Better than had 90% of the people in Los Angeles, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it, right? I mean, you're asking an American, imagine asking a white American born in the city to go in the strawberry fields and pick it. Now, I've known
and that's
like
a
kids
kind
that when
thing to
they were
say.
growing up, they like their first jobs. Maybe people in Maine and stuff I've known they've picked in strawberry fields and stuff like that. But as a kid, right, 14, 13, and they get paid,
And that's probably
a
not his
little
only
bit
job.
in summer.
This guy,
Right,
this guy
right.
makes this guy makes quarters on the dollar that the average white guy would make, and this is probably not his only job. He's probably
He's
picking
working hard.
strawberries for 12 hours a day, and then the other 12 hours a day he's working at Home Depot building houses for like some rich white guy. I mean, like, dude,
Yeah.
like, and that's what it is. Like he's waiting outside the Home Depot for some rich white guy to either deport him or take him to build a house. There's no in between. Um, And that's a little bit stereotypical, but like, dude, that's basically what this guy is. Insanely hardworking. He wants to live here. He probably deserves to live here a lot more than some people in this damn country. Because you talk to
Mhm.
people, and this dude, goddamn it, he is the American dream. If I mean, God, like this dude wants the American dream. He's willing to work for the American dream, and he's here. And then they're like, oh well, we had to deport him and beat his ass up. We had to give him a black guy before we send him back to Mexico, just for good measure. Um,
Yeah, make sure
we
it never comes back.
we had to have our fat
You know,
ice
the
agent
hard
tackle
worker.
him into the concrete. Um,
Mhm.
and it's so dumb like that. Especially like it's all these fat dudes that have like serious power issues. Like, dude, you're an egotistical freak who joined Dice for money and power, and now you're. It's funny because these ice agents are getting their faces leaked, and it's like I could really care less. I just burped, excuse me. Like I could care less, dude. Like I mean, like I know it's like the ice agents, poor ice agent. They're all bad people, or not all of them. I'll take that. Like they're not all bad people, but a hell of a lot of them are. And that's I think they got like the thin like doo doo green line. You know what I mean? They don't got the thin blue line because they're not cops. They're power hungry incels that work in an agency, a government agency. Government agencies, PU man, local law enforcement, dude. Like I know cops get a bad rap, whatever, and a lot of them deserve the bad rap, like New York. But like, dude, my local law enforcement agencies, dude, these guys are trying their hardest. They're working. Like I think even crying out the streets, at least they're trying. You got a fat ice age, and he joined up so he could get a paycheck, and so he can have some power over people that are worse off than him. And that's dumb. And it's really dumb, and like they don't deserve any praise. And like that's because for the federal government. That's like I said, the federal government pisses me off because they don't like you, they don't like me, they don't want the best for us. They're really just advocates for bad, if we're being honest.
Yep. Next, they're gonna try and deport my legal mother back to the Philippines. Actually, no, they're gonna send her to
Rhodesia.
South Africa. Yeah, Rhodesia. They're gonna send her to Rhodesia, the country that
Send
they've
me
been
to
searching
send
for.
us to Rhodesia. That's where we need to go.
Yeah,
We could be the local Rhodesia edition. Um,
Rhodesia edition. Yeah, dude, we're going back in time.
we are going. Yeah, we're going back in time, dude. I will say we're about to hit 1 minute or 1 hour 40 on our clock. We should
Well,
probably draw it here.
yeah, we should.
Well, that's our first episode back in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening to all the listeners. I mean, we got like 40 on the Gooch. We got 19 on the last one. It's a lot of people that are taking their time out of their days to listen to me and Dwight rant about
About nothing.
pretty much, yeah. So yeah, we're local. That's all.
Bye bye.